Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now this video is to show you how to do a ridge around your crochet blankets. Now I'm doing it around this crocodile stitch blanket, but you don't have to do it around a crocodile stitch blanket. This rib will go around any blanket that you've got. If you can manage to pick up stitches around your blanket, then you'll be able to do the rib stitch. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to do this lovely border that you can use around any or most of your crochet or even your knitted blankets. So this is the inner square of my crocodile stitch blanket. I'm going to show you that beautiful, absolutely beautiful pink yarn. This is a red heart neon. This is a pink neon from Red Heart, and I got this on Lovecrafts. It's really cheap on there. I used to buy all my Karen Simply Soft and the Red Heart on Amazon, and on Lovecraft's website, I'll put a link in the bottom. It's so much cheaper, and I'm not just saying that because it's a website and I want you all to go and visit it. Is actually, ever since I started doing YouTube, I've always told people where the cheaper places are to buy your wool and your yarn, and the Lovecrafts website, I don't know why I've just never seen or been on it before, and it's so much cheaper. I can get a lot of the yarn that I'm paying £5 and £6 a ball on Amazon, and I can get it on there for £1.99, for £3.49, for so much cheaper, and it's the same yarn, and I get it delivered for free if you spend over £25 as well, and it's much cheaper. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to do the border part on this blanket. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn it around so you can see it better. This is the front of the crocodile stitch, and I've got all my little scales on my blanket. Now I'm going to show you how to do the border. I have done a video on this part of the blanket, and at the end of the video there'll be a big square that will pop up here, and if you click on it, it should take you to this part of the video to do the actual crocodile stitch center part for this blanket. I'm going to show you how to do the border. It was too much to do the border and the blanket on the one video. So I've got my 5mm hook, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called a UK double crochet. If you're in the USA or another country, this might be a single crochet for you. Now I've got my blanket turned around to the back. The back's pretty as well, so I can show you where the chain spaces are, because from the front some of them are hidden behind the scales on the blanket. So I'm going into the chain space. I'm going to put 2 double crochet, one into this V stitch, the empty V stitch. I'm going to put 2 into this space here. Into my scale stitch at the back, I'm going to put 1 double crochet, and the same into this space. I'm going to put 2 in here, 1 in here, and 2 in the chain spaces. So it's 2 double crochets in each of your chain spaces, 1 inside the V and 1 in the middle of your scale stitch, all the way around the blanket. I'll get along to the corner and I'll show you where to go with it, with the edge. We don't want to use this scale edge of this last scale stitch. We want to use the one that's here on the inside of the blanket as we're going around. Once we've got that border of double crochet, we'll do the thick border on top of that. We need some foundation stitches, and that's what we're going to do. I'll show you as I go along. So I'm going to put my hook under the chain space. Now as you can see, all of this is all sort of joined together. So we're going in to this first space. I'm just going to pull my yarn through. I'll just cross over the tail and hold on to it, and I've got my working yarn here, and I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2. So into that chain space again, I'm going to do a double crochet. If you're in the USA, this is called a single crochet. So I've got 2 in there. I'm going to put 1 in there and 2 in that space. I'm going to put 1 in the middle of my scale stitch. Just go right through. And then I've got my chain area again, and I'm going to put 2 on here. Into the V stitch, I'm going to put 1. So into the next space, I'm going to put 2 double crochets, 1 into the top of that scale stitch, and then the next chain part, put 2 in there. So that's what I'm going to do all the way along the edge. We're going to put 2 double crochets into this side of the V stitch, and then 2 double crochets into here. I might need to put 3 in there. So that's what I mean by when you do your blanket, you might have to adjust it to fit how wide your stitch is. It won't necessarily be the same as mine. It might be slightly smaller, or it could even be slightly wider. So I think I'll try 3 in there, and I'll see what it looks like. If it's too many, I'll just put 2 in. So going around the corner, I've got my 2 in my loop, and I'm going to put another 2 in. I'm going to put another 2 double crochets. That's a UK double crochet. If you're in the USA, this is a single crochet. This is going to bring me around the corner here. So through that thick part of the stitch, not the top one, through this bottom one, make sure your blanket's at the back here, you're looking at it that way. Push your hook through and just pull through a stitch. Yarn over and through your 2 loops. Go along a little bit and do the same. Just pull your yarn through. You might have to twist it a little bit to get it past all those stitches, and pull through. And I'm going to put 1 more in, just in that corner. We'll see what it's like. 3 might be okay. I might have to put it down to 2. So on this V stitch, on this one, I'm going to put 2. That's 1 double crochet and 2. So on this one here, remember we're using this one. I'll get some yarn up. I'm going to see what it's like with 3. Put 1 in there, and this is going to hold my border. This is a foundation row for my border. So that looks okay, that looks fine. It doesn't look too wavy or anything, or too slack or too tight. So just use your eye yourself and see what it looks like. Now that light pink is really making that one lift up, isn't it? So onto the V stitch. We're not doing the outside one, we're doing the one that's on the inner. Put 2 in there. It's 1 just around that part there, and then down to the next stitch. Not the outside one, we're going with the one that's just a little bit further in. We're going with this one here. So just push your hook through and pull through a loop. It's 1, push your hook through, pull through a loop, and 1 near the edge. And then there's my V stitch. I'll put 2 around that V stitch. I'm going to do that all the the way around the blanket. So when I get to the corner, on this last one here, I'm going to put 4. I'll put 4 stitches, and then I'll get to this chain space and I'll put 4 in there, and that should bring me around the corner. So I'm going to put 4 down that bar there and 4 round there, and then I'll go back to my chain space, doing my 2 and my 1 in between, just like we did for the top. I'll put 1 into the bottom of there, 2 into there, 1 into the V, all the way around, and then I'll do the same on the other side as I'm doing now. When I get to this corner, I'll put 4 double crochets on that last chain space, and up that one I'll put 4, and then I'll go back to doing my 2 and then my 3 on the crocodile stitch up the side. You can rewind the video if you get lost. Just rewind the video and watch it again and work along at the same time as me if you've got your blanket made. So I'm going to continue all around my blanket, and I'll come back and show you how to do that wide border. So I've got my hook, and I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to show you how to do that border. We're going to be using a UK double crochet. If you're in the USA or another country, that's a single crochet, and we're going to be doing a slip stitch down our edge. It's going to neaten up our edge as well. So I'll zoom in and I'll just explain what we're going to do. We're going to work down the side of the blanket first. Well, I'm going to work down the side of mine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 7 stitches. When I do my 7 stitches, I'm only going to be working 6 of them, and I'll explain that in a moment. So I'm going to chain 7 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now this is the side of my blanket. We're going to be slip stitching along here, and we're going to be working our border at the same time, up and down your chain. Now we're not going to go into the first chain, we're going into the loop of the second one. So that number 7 in the chain is going to make my little turning point, and that's why we're only going to have 6 stitches left. So I'll zoom in one more little bit so you can see this. So I'm only going to work through 1 loop in my chain. So skip that first stitch there and put your hook through just the 1 loop in the chain like this. Put your yarn over and pull through and do your double crochet. So that's 1. Go into the next one, into the next loop, just the 1 loop. That's 2. The next one is 3. The next one is 4. The next one's 5. And we should have 1 more to do 6. So we've got 1 more. Now the other one is attached to the blanket. So that's me got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So down the side of the blanket, we're on the side of the blanket, and in that first stitch, this is going to neaten up all of this area where we have sort of some of the stitches are a little looser because we did a foundation row. We're going to go into the next stitch, this one here, and we're going to do a slip stitch. Just pull your yarn through and pull it through that back loop, and do the same to the next stitch. We're going to do a slip stitch again, just pull your yarn through and slip stitch through there. That's going to start taking us down the side of the blanket. Now the little tail end that we have, we're going to be flipping it back and forward. Flip it to the left and then we'll flip it to the right. Flip it this way and that way. We're not going to be turning the blanket around this way and around that way. The easiest way, your border will be running up the side like this, but to work it, the easiest thing to do is just to flip it over from there to there. So we've done our 2 slip stitches. I'm going to flip my little border over to this side. The easiest way to keep your stitch count right is to work from here. You can make a bigger border if you want. If you chain 8, you'll have 7 stitches to work. If you chain 10, you'll have 9 stitches to work, because that one stitch that off your very first chain becomes the side, so that you've got your edge here. What we're going to do is we're going to count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And we're going into the back loop. That's your stitches, and we're going to be using these back loops. Always these back loops, no matter which way you're going, these back loops. Because we've got 2 slip stitches in here, the easiest way to keep your border count right is count from this end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Put your hook through the back loop. So that's the V part of the top of your stitches. We're going through the back loop. That's the back loop here. And this is what's going to make your rib stitch if you keep going through those back loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Check it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll be doing this a lot. Got to make sure that you keep your border count right, because the other stitches that are in here are your slip stitches, and we don't want to work those slip stitches. So through the back loop, and pull your yarn through and do your double crochet through the back loop of the next one. So that's 2. Through the back loop, that's 3. Through the back loop, so we're only picking up 1 loop, that's 4, and then 5, and my last one, is number 6. Make sure you get that back loop. Chain 1 and flip your work over. Don't turn it or anything, just flip it back that way. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into the back loop again of your next row. So the back loop, you may just have to pull that one down a little bit. So into the back loop, into the back loop, pull your yarn through. So that's 1, into the back loop, that's 2. It's a little bit fiddly until you get used to it. That's 3, that's 4, 5 and 6. So don't go anywhere near those. So the next stitch is one that hasn't been worked. You're going to slip stitch, pull your yarn through and slip through that stitch. That's 1 and 2. So again, we're just going to flip it over to the left. Count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Put your hook through the back loop. We're going into these back loops. find my working yarn, pull my stitch through and do my double crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and that gives you a nice rib stitch. You can see that forming. Chain 1 and turn, and again we're going to do our 6 stitches. So you need to twist this one around to get into that first one there. That's 1, 2, 3, make sure you're using the back loop, 4, 5 and 6. And the ones that we've got sitting there are our slip stitches. We don't want them. So we're going into the next stitch, and that's the next empty stitch. You can see that that one's been used. So we're going into these two here. So we're going to do our slip stitch to move down the side of our blanket. Slip stitch through the next one, push your hook through, pull your yarn through and slip stitch through that one. Now flip your border over, just flip it over and count 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Make sure you go in through the back loop, the loops that are at the top here. It's called a back loop stitch, but it's the one, you've got your V there and it's the one on the top. Pull your yarn through, just twist my blanket a little bit and pull through. Go through your back loop. That's your second one, it's your third one, it's your fourth one, that's 5 and 6. So it doesn't matter how many that you do your chain. Like I said already, even if you were to do 20 chain, you would only have 19 stitches to work, because that on your very first chain, that last stitch makes up this part here. So now we're chain 1 and just flip it back that way. Give it a little twist so you can get into your back loop of your first stitch here, through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and catch that last one down in there. Your last one might be hiding right down in there. And don't miss it, don't skip to this little naughty one. Your little stitches in here. So that one's been worked, so we're going into this next stitch here and slip stitch through the next one and slip stitch. Flip over, count 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and through the back loop, pull my stitch up. So that's 1. Now I want my corner to go around in a fan shape. I don't want it square. I want it to go round at the bottom. I'm keeping it square at the top. So what we're going to do to make it round on the bottom, and this is what my rib border looks like, and this is the back. It's nice, it's quite neat at the back. It's nice and neat. You won't see the back of it anyway, because this is the front of the blanket. Now all that will flatten down, don't worry, it'll flatten down once I stop messing around with it. So I've got right down to my corner here. Now what I'm going to do, I've still got my 6 stitches. So what I'm going to do, I've still got my 6 stitches. Now in to the very bottom of this row, not the row I've just finished, this row down in here, I'm going to slip stitch, and what it's going to do is it's going to keep it tight in the corner, but then hopefully it should fan around here. So I'm going to slip into that corner, and then I'm just going to flip my border over the way you've been doing it. I'm not going into my first stitch. Count 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's where I'm going. I'm going to go up to my 5th, so I'm skipping that number 6 stitch and just going into that 5th one, and we'll do that just around the corner to get us around the corner into the back loop with my double crochet. That's a single crochet if you're in the USA. Oh, that's why. Wondered why my yarn was a little tight there. So up to the end, chain 1 and then just flip it back. And as you can see, it's turning into like a little fan shape. So I'm going to do 5 stitches down, not 6, we're just doing 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there should be a 5th one. There it's there, in through that 5th one. Pull it round. And into that same stitch, I'm going to do my slip stitch. So that's twice we went into that same stitch. Then just flip it over again, just push it over to this side. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 stitches. And I'm going into that back loop. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1 and flip it back. So as you can see, my corner is starting to fan round. I'm going into the next stitch when I get down to the bottom. So I'm going to do 5 down, and if you need to see how to do that again, then just rewind the video. We've gone in to that slip stitch at the bottom of this one. So we went in there another twice, that same stitch, to make it fan. That's 2, 3, 4, and that one is hidden right away in there. That number 5's hiding down in there, it's pushed itself down, so just pull that stitch out. And please don't be tempted to just pick another stitch. Make sure that you dig that stitch out of there. It does tuck itself away in. So now I'm going into the next empty stitch. Just slip stitch through. Then we're going to flip it over. Just move it over that way. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. In behind the stitch. In that back loop. 1, 2, 3, out, there we go, 3, 4 and 5. Chain 1 and then just turn it back and work back down. So that's 5 stitches down. We'll go back to the 6th in a moment. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and catch that number 5. Make sure you catch all of the strands of that number 5. And then we're going to slip stitch into the next one. We'll see how it looks. And that's just getting around the corner. We're getting there. We'll go up and down, and that should be enough, and that should be us on the straight part once we've got our next rows done. So we're going to flip it over again, flip it over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So don't do that tiny little one. That's your little slip stitch. You tighten that stitch up down here. Don't have your stitches too slack. But then don't worry about your loop. Your loop will go back into place. If you think you're stretching it too much, it will go back in. 3, 4, and our 5. You're going to chain 1 and then just let it go back the right way. See where we are now. So once we get back down here, that'll be us on the straight again. And we'll be doing our 6 again. We're only doing that 5 to get us around the corner. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and our 5th one. Just catch that 5th one. So once we're down in here, I'm going in to that slip stitch. Just slip into that stitch that's there. And that's us got right around that corner. Once we do the next ones, we'll be on the straight. I'm going to slip into the next one, slip stitch. So that's us done our 2 slip stitches. Just flip it back the way you've been flipping it back and forward to work. Now we need 6 stitches this time, so count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we will be using just one of those little slip stitches and go into the back loop, and that's us back on to our 6 stitches. Let's tighten that up a little shade. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and our 6. We're going to chain 1, flip it back, and there we are. That's us right around the corner. And the reason I've only done 5 for these rows that are in here, if we did 6 it would be too bulky. I mean, it's quite bulky there, but if we did 6 all into that tiny corner, it would be too bulky. And once that leaf is there, or your little scale, look at that, that is so pretty going around that corner. So now we're going to work our way back down, just like you did on this side. We're going to work along the bottom. I'm going to do the corner the same way as this one. If you need reminding to do the corner, just rewind the video and do follow along. If you're doing your border, get your crochet hook and your yarn and just follow me around the corner. That'll help you. We're just working straight along the bottom, the same as we did for this. Slip stitching your 2, work your way up for your 6 stitches, work your way back down for your 6 stitches, slip stitch past 2, 1 and 2, work up, work down, slip stitch into 2, up and down all the way along, around your corner the same way we did. As soon as you're level with this, then you'll go into that stitch there twice, and then into that one twice, and get you just the same way we did there. I'm sure it was twice. Then we'll work away. I'm going to work my way up this side to the top. So if you saw from the beginning of the video the picture with the blanket finished, I'm going to make a wide top right along from here, right across the top, so that all my scales just sit inside this square, almost like a frame, this part. I'm going to do the top straight. Now you can do the top the same way you did the bottom corners and continue along. You can do that if you want. I'm going to show you how to do it straight if you want to just have straight squares, like a proper square without the rounded corners. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now I want mine quite tall. So I'm going to chain up 11 chains. I'll zoom in a little bit. So I've got a little knot in my yarn, but hopefully that'll disappear inside this chain. I'm going to chain 11. So I'll have 10 stitches to work with. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and one more is 11. Now that one more will go up that way and I'll have 10 stitches to work with. So into the loop of the chain, I'm going to work down the chain. I'll slip stitch across and work up and down, just the same way we did for this border. I'll flip it back and forward as I'm going. So into the second stitch, I'm going to do my double crochet. All the way down, I'm going to put 1 double crochet, that's 2 stitches. I should have 10. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that knot's gone to the back. That's good. So that's given me this part. So I'm going to have a wide part like this, a border, but it'll run along the top. If you can see what I mean, I'll take my stitch out and I'll show you what I mean. So my border is going to run right along the top and it'll attach it to the top of these scales. This rib stitch makes a beautiful border. So down into this stitch here, I'm going to do a slip stitch, just slip stitch, and the next one slip stitch. We're going to just flip this over just like we did at the very beginning, and I'm going to count 10 stitches from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. This is to keep my stitch count. So into this top loop, this back loop here, I'm going to do my double crochet, just like we were doing for the rest of the border, and I should have 10 stitches. So this one's number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 into that back stitch. Now chain 1 and flip it over, just flip it over. So now I'm going to work all the way down. I'll do 2 slip stitches and work up and down, and this is going to make my wide border all the way along the top of the blanket. When I finished the rib stitch, what I did is I just went around the top, just in each section, this part, this section, just work your way along evenly, push your hook through the top of the stitches and just pull your yarn through and then slip stitch it through. Don't do it too tight, just go into the next area and pull through. Push your hook through, pull your yarn through and slip stitch. Push your hook through, pull your yarn through and slip stitch. And what that does is it gives you a really nice edge around your rib stitch border. It makes it really nice, so it goes from this sort of up and down the edge to this nice straight edge, and that will be my blanket finished. I'm going to do that slip stitch all the way around my blanket. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and zoom down, sort my camera, and I'm going to show you what my blanket looks like when it's finished. So this is my rib border all finished, and I've got my blanket finished as well. I put some lace trim around it, and this is what the really nice edge you get by doing that slip stitch all the way around your blanket edge. It's a really great idea to edge anything that you've got, even if it's just a plain blanket. If you put that little slip stitch all the way around, it really neatens up the edge of your crochet. And this is how you do a really pretty rib border around your blanket. You can have it square or you can have it rounded like this, and all you do to get it round like that is watch the video for the corner and do that to all your 4 corners. It doesn't have to be a crocodile stitch blanket. You can make any blanket and then pick up an even number of stitches all around your square and then do this rib stitch in the same way. So it doesn't need to be for this blanket, and I hope you like it. The video for the blanket is already on my channel, so if you have a look at the video section on my channel, you'll find hundreds of videos of crochet and other crafts. And it turned out so pretty, this. So this video was to show you how to do this really pretty rib all around a square, any blanket that you've crocheted. If you can pick up an even number of stitches all around your square, then you can do this rib stitch. And don't think because you are a beginner that you can't do this. You can. Follow the video. I keep pausing the video and you should be able to do this as well. So thank you very much for watching. Please click on the subscribe button, and also if you click on the bell icon, then YouTube will let you know when I post up a new tutorial, and hopefully you won't miss any of the new ones. So until the next time, happy crafting, get ribbing around your blankets, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.